Hello guys, welcome back. And in this lesson, I want us to consider how to bind, classes or how to bind to classes and styles. So many a times when you're doing development, whether it is web development or whatever, you might want to render some elements or some classes dynamically on your web page. And the traditional way, the archaic way, the old-fashioned way to approach this will be to render these classes using JavaScript, which many a times, it is very hectic. You have to write a lot of functions so that you can do string interpolation, template literals, all those things, and it is quite cumbersome. So, and that is where now the class binding or style binding comes in. So without further ado, let us dive in and see how to do this in Vue. So currently in my guy here, home view, I'm going to delete, let us see, let me just remove these things that we have here, and I'll just leave the import for the ref on the reactive. And also I'm going to delete this button. Let's see, we can delete this button and close this paragraph, this. And then for this paragraph, we can use a lorem ipsum like this, so as just to have a bit of text here that you can be able to see how this works. Then the other thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to my browser here. I'm going to Bootstrap, and on Bootstrap here, I'm going to add Bootstrap just for the sake of illustration. So I'll scroll down to get started. I'll copy these two links. I need to add this link for CSS. So I'll go to inside the index.html top here, I'll paste this guy here, I'll go back here, I'll copy the script file, I'll go back here, and on the script down here, I'll paste this guy here. So let us go now to the home and try to test if we have our Bootstrap working. So I'll just click here, I'll say class, and then I'll try to add maybe text danger. I'll save this. I'll go to the browser. Let's check if this is working. All right, let me go. Yeah, as now, as you can see, we have our Bootstrap installed and our text is now red. So now, suppose let us say that we want to add this text danger only when there is an error. So we can do this by simply doing something like this. For example, we can, there are a couple of ways that we can do this. Let us start with the easier way, which will simply be, binding. So you bind to this class like this, which means you can pass dynamic variables to this class now. And now this text danger, we can put it in, we need to put this in a quotation like this, and then we need to put it inside an object. So inside this object, what we are going to do, we are going to say that we are going to add this class text danger only if the second, the value that we pass to this variable in this object is the one which will be determined to render this class. So I'll say only when there is a variable which is error. And if this error is true, this should be boolean value, then render this text danger. So on top here, we can simply say const is error like this, and then we can say that for now, let us say ref, and this should be true. Let us say true for now, like this. I'll save this. If I go back to the browser, we still have the same thing. But now the good thing with this is that if I save this to be false, if I save this to be false like this, then this will mean that this class should not be binded. As you can see now, the color has gone. Now, the good thing with doing this is that you can be able to render more than one class dynamically, or you can be able to bind more than one class dynamically. So for example, now I might say maybe I want also to bind a class text center, which will simply center the class only when I've passed a variable called center text. All right. So center text like this, and then Why am I getting an error? Okay, it's okay. And then I'll just duplicate this here. I'll copy center text here, I'll paste here. So currently center text is false and the guy is also false for the color text danger. But if I set this to true, as you can see now, the color will be red. And again, now I can be able to set this to true and the text should be centered. Hopefully, as you can see now, the text is centered, which means basically these classes here are only rendered dynamically based on the values you have here. As you can see, it is straightforward and it is very simple. And now guys, one thing with these classes is that not only can you be able to apply, object, you can also apply things like arrays. So for example, I can say an array like this, and for now, the only difference is that now for an array like this, you'll say render this text danger if error is true, otherwise, do not render anything. The same I'll do here. Say render this center text or text center. If center text is true, otherwise like this, do not render anything. All right, I think I did a mistake here. I should say, okay, Sarah should be the first one here. So I should check if there is error is there, and then I'll render text danger. Otherwise, I'll not render any classes. All right, this way. Then here I'll check text center instead, and then like this. And then for the text center, I can say render text center like this. This should be okay now. All right, this should be this error like this and this. As you can see now, this is the same thing that we have here. So the only thing I prefer mostly the object because this, as you can see, is quite verbose. Even reading is quite confusing. So the other thing that I wanted you to check out is that you can also be able to apply a computed class to this guy here. So now we have our object here, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a computed class here. So let us call this computed class as let us call it maybe P classes, that is for paragraph classes, is equals to, say, computed like this, call this inside, call a function here, return a function like this. Then I'll copy my object here. So I'll just copy this object like this, cut it here, I'll paste it here like that. And after doing that, I can simply copy this. Let's see. Okay, I don't need another object here on top of this. I can simply do this. And I can now paste my computed classes here like this. If I go back to the browser, the same thing. And so guys, that is it with computed properties, using computed properties to render classes dynamically.